So hope you all learned the procedural oriented programming language in the past 3 units. So today we are going to discuss about the object oriented programming concept that is comes under your 4th unit. So before getting into the topic, we are going to have the procedural oriented versus object oriented programming concept and the difference between C and C++ and object and classes, data hiding, member functions in the class, nesting of member functions, and some of the problem statement we are going to discuss throughout this session. So before getting to the object oriented programming concept, we are going to the quick look of procedure oriented programming concept. So what is procedure oriented programming concept? So when you see the already you know the concept of procedure oriented programming concept. In this, the entire program is divided into a number of smaller subparts, and each subparts is also called as a function, or also called as a modules, and are also called as a procedures. So already you know how to create the functions, how to call the functions, and what are the statements inside the functions, everything you know that. In this, the functions is composed of some of the imperative statements like assignment statement, control statements, looping statements. With the composition of all this, we can able to develop the functions or models in your procedure-oriented programming language. Say, for example, the procedure-oriented programming language, you completed the C programming languages. So this follows the top-down design. And now the next thing is, what is the challenges in the procedure-oriented programming language? Say, for example, as we already said that the entire program is divided into number of sub-modules or the functions. So every function has its own local data. Every function has its own local data, and also the main function has the global data. So what will happen? The functions has a privilege to access the local data, and also it has the privilege to access the global data. So if more than one function can able to access the global data at a time, so what will happen? So the thing is, if more than one function at a time it is accessing the global data, then incidentally or accidentally, some of the functions may changes the global data. So this will lead to the problem of erroneous output, and the entire task produces the erroneous output. So this is a major challenge in the procedure-oriented programming language. In order to avoid that, we are going for the next topic is called as the object-oriented programming concept. So here the meaning is, in the procedure-oriented programming language, the major challenge we are saying that it is the data protection is not available. That the meaning is data protection is not available. Meaning is more than one functions has the privilege to access the global data. So accidentally, some of the functions may changes this global data. This leads to the erroneous output. So in order to avoid that only, we are going for the object-oriented programming language to implement the security along with some of the major concepts. For example, object, class, polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance, and abstraction. So in this, these are all the major concepts only we are going to discuss about throughout the entire topic along with the program example. Now coming into the pictorial representation of the procedure-oriented programming and the object-oriented programming. In the procedure-oriented programming, as we said that the whole program is divided into number of small parts. So each and every small parts is called as a function, or is also called as a procedure. So every function has its own local data, and also every function has the privilege to access the global data which is present in your main program. So that is what already we saying that due to this reason only, there is no data security in procedure-oriented programming language. Now coming to the object-oriented programming language, the entire program is divided into number of small subparts. So each and every subparts we used to call it as a objects. So when you see that this is one object, this is one object, and this is also one object. So when you see this object, every object has its own data as well as function. And here also, this object has its own data as well as this function. And now every object is able to communicate with their function. Now, by summarizing all these procedure versus object-oriented programming concept and some of the very important differences given, here. In the procedure-oriented program, as we know that is divided into small part is called as a function, and object-oriented programming concept is divided into small parts is called as a objects. Now, uh, as we know that this procedure-oriented programming, we does not have a data security because we cannot able to hide the data. Any kind of function can access the global data. So this is the major challenge in the procedure-oriented programming language. There is a major question raised in the placement also, in the placement in terms of placement point of view. What is the major difference between the procedure-oriented programming and object-oriented programming? Your interviewer may ask this question. So by that time, you can say that even though many supportive functions, many major functions that can be included in the object-oriented programming, but still then the major difference between your POP and object-oriented programming is in terms of security only. There is more data security in procedure-oriented programming, but that can be implemented in object-oriented programming in terms of data hiding. So here the data hiding is nothing but in terms of access specifier. Access specifier in the following upcoming topic, we can say what is the use of access specifier and what are the different type of access specifiers are there with the support of this access specifier like private, public, and protected. With the support of this access specifier, we can able to hide the data in the object-oriented program. So, which are the functions are allowed to access the data? Only that function has the privilege to access the data. Remaining all the function cannot able to access this data. So, in that way, you can implement data security in object-oriented programming concept. Now, this one, the example of procedure-oriented programming language is C, Visual Basic, Fortran, and Pascal. This we taken this procedure-oriented programming language. The last 3 units we covered the C programming language. In the object-oriented programming language, in the 4th unit, we are going to cover the C++ language. And in the procedure, one of the other important difference when you see the procedure-oriented program is overloading concept. Overloading concept is not possible in the procedure-oriented program, but it is possible in object-oriented programming. What does it mean? It is overloading concept that we have a detailed discussion on the upcoming topic along with the program example. I will give you a hint like overloading in the sense one function. The same function name can be used for the different scenarios or different applications or different tasks or different tasks. That is called as a overloading. So overloading is possible in object-oriented programming, but overloading concept is not possible in procedure-oriented programming. Now, in terms of programming design, in the procedure-oriented programming, we already discussed the C programming language. The last 3 units, you have been covered the C programming concept. In the object-oriented programming concepts, the C++. So, in terms of programming design, what are the major differences between the C and C++? We listed. Later on, we go into the program concepts. So the C programming language is a procedural oriented programming language, and C++ is based on your object oriented programming language. Now, and in the C programming language, the polymorphism is not possible. Polymorphism is not possible, but here in the C++, we can able to implement the polymorphism concept. As already told in the C++, the object-oriented concept, the key major point is we can able to implement the polymorphism concept. So the poly in the sense of many. So the same function or the same operator can be used for many purposes. So that feature is not available in the C, but that is available in C++. So this all the things we can able to discuss with the upcoming topic along with the program example. But while designing the program in the C programming language, we are using the input statement. For the input statement, we are going to use the scanf statement. And for the output statement, we are using the printf function. But in terms of C++, while using the input statement, we have to use the for statement is called as a cin. The cin is nothing but C represent character and in represent input stream. So the cin and you can take the input variable. So this is a variable name. And similar way, if you want to display the output, we have to use the object is called as the cout or the cout statement. Here you can this symbol you can call it as a insertion operator. This symbol is called as a insertion extraction, the cout extraction operator, and the cin operator we can call it as an insertion operator. There are two ways you can keep the cout statement also, that is cout, you can display some user-defined statement. Like in the C program, we return printf, enter the number or enter the name. Like that, we given some user-defined statement. Similar way, in C++, we can give some user-defined statement to print on our console output. So that is what we are giving some cout statement here. So the cout and extraction operator and give some user-defined statements. And similar way for displaying your object variable and displaying your variable, output variable, you can use the same cout statement and variable name. And now the other very important difference between the C program as well as C++ program is here we are using for the memory allocation, we are using the malloc as well as calloc function for the C program. But when you, after the usage of the memory is over, we have to deallocate the memory location by using the operator is called as a free. But in terms of C++ programming language, we are for generating the input or creating the input, we are using the new operator. And after the usage is over, if you want to deallocate the memory, you have to use the delete operator. Now we are getting into the very important concepts. This comes under your object-oriented programming language. Now getting into that is the first concept is called as an object. That means the object is nothing but here we can say every real world entity is called as an object. What is meant by real world entity? Say for example, myself is one of the object, yourself is one of the object, and your car is one of the object, your mobile phone is one of the object. Like that, every real world entity is called as an object. Now, in the object, when you see this particular object, when you look into the nature of the object, every object must have the three components. One is called as a characteristics, and another one is called as a operation, and another one is called as another component is called as a relationship. So the characteristics is nothing but also called as an attribute. Say for example, I'm saying the person is one of the object, or boy is one of the object, or girl is one of the object. What will happen? The boy name and boy color, height, weight, all these are called as attributes of the boy object. And here we given some example like the characteristics of a particular employee object. Say for example, the name of the employee, designation, as well as about his personal description. These are called as the characteristics of an object. Now, coming into the operations or the functions. So that every object has its own characteristics and also it has some function or some behavior or some operation, all meant for same. And if you are taking, so the boy, if you are taking the boy or the girl as the object, then attributes are the name of the boy, the color of the boy, height of the boy, weight of the boy. These are called as the attributes of the particular object. So what is the operation of the particular object? Operation of boy or operation of girl is a dancing, singing, walking, These are considered the operation of an object. Here I given one more example is called as this. Suppose for example, if the person um, bus is an object, the bus is an object, and here drive bus, fly plane, these are all the operations of the particular object. And now we want to, the third component is called as the relationship with every object. Say for example, already we know that in object-oriented programming language, the entire program is divided into number of objects. So one object should communicate with the other object, right? So here, for example, the bus driver is one object, consider the bus driver is one object, and we want to, bus is another object. So the bus driver need to connect the bus in order to drive it. Yes or no? So the communication between these two objects, like called as a bus is the one object and bus driver is the one object. So the communication. So we need a communication between these objects for sharing of data as well as the function. So by seeing this object, the object is the major concept. So entire object-oriented programming is divided into the three major components. Remember that attribute, function, as well as message passing. That is also called as a relationship. Now for the better understandability, I have given some pictorial representation also. So look into that. Here we have, so there's some different persons like Alice, Bab, Alex, and Carol. So these are all called as a, each and every object, every person is called as an object. So we can collect all these, we can combine all these objects together. We can call it as a class is called as a person class, right? So if we see the concept of class and object, these are more on interrelated. That is, when you see the class, more than one object, more than one relevant object together to form the group of to form the class. So by seeing that, say for example, here we are seeing the number of objects like banana is one object, apple, pineapple, strawberry. These are the different objects, but all these objects are grouped under the single class is called as a fruit. And so hope you understood the concept between the classes and object. So the object is nothing but individual object will have the respective characteristics as well as some respective attributes, attributes as well as operation. So the collection of similar object together to form a group is called as a class. And similar way, by seeing this pictorial representation, we have the different type of cars, right? So we have the different type of car, Maruti, like Volkswagen, and truck, van, like that. So we can group all these objects together under the one class is called as a vehicle. Like that, the combination of more than one object together to form the class. Collection of objects together is called as a class. So we can define easily the class definition. Now for more understanding about your object representation, say for example, all these objects are represented. Here the car is one of the object, person is one of the object, and garage is one of the object. Now every object has its own attribute and its operation. So these are the some sample attribute is given. Car, that is called speed, fuel. These are the some attribute or some characteristics of the car. And also the operation is called as a behavior. So the operations of the car, get speed, get fuel. These are the operation and also called as a function associated with this object. And similar way for the person, we are representing person is one of the object. In this attributes, what are the attributes? Name, age, his email ID, mobile number, all these are characteristics of the attribute about this object. And also the person having some operations also, like get name as well as get age, walk, sing, dance. These are all the some sample operations associated with this object. So by seeing this pictorial representation, okay, so here also the other object, so every object should be communicated. Say for example, we can sell a car, the garage sell a car, now the person drives the car, and also similar way the person buys the car from the garage. So every object have a communication with each other. Hope you understood the object concept. So remember that object is nothing but it is a composition of attribute and operations. Now coming to the program design of your class, right? So how we are going to design this class concept in terms of C++ program. Right? So the class is nothing but it is a combination of object. So of course we know that it's we can associate the data as well as the function together to formulate the class. So here we are representing the general format of the class. So the syntax is given for the class. You have to represent like the class and space class name. The meaning is the class is a keyword. Class is a keyword and this class name is a user defined class name. Any name won't you can give for this class name. And now followed by the body of the class can be started with the opening braces. So whenever you start the body of the class, that will be start with this opening brace. Now it consists of private data members as well as the public data members. So inside the class, we have some variable declaration and also we have some function declaration also. So the variable declaration comes under the private data members and function declarations we can call it as in public sector. So here, when you see the syntax of the class, we can specify the class as a keyword and the class name. Class is a keyword and specify the class name is a user defined name. And here we have the attribute declaration as well as the function declaration. So the attribute declaration comes under here. This private is one of the member access specifier that we have the detailed discussion about the member access specifier in the upcoming topic along with the program example. So in the first part, you have to specify all your variable declaration and under this and also we have some function declaration. And every class must be closed with the semicolon. Once the body is closed, you have to close along with the semicolon. Now look into that. So here, the general representation of defining the class is given. So here the class is a keyword. Class is a keyword and class name is a user defined class name. Now you have to specify the access specifier. That the meaning is the access specifier could be a private or public and protected. What is the need of this access specifier? This is a major challenge we are getting into the procedure-oriented programming into the object-oriented programming because there is no data security in procedure-oriented programming. That is what we are going into the object-oriented programming language. We have a proper data hiding mechanism is there. So for implementing this data hiding mechanism in terms of access specifier. So the access specifier, we do have the three different access specifier. One is called as a private member and public member and protected access specifier. And under this access specifier, we can declare all your data member. So the data member is nothing but it is called as an attribute. And also we have to specify the member function. So the member function is also called as a functions or the operations present in your class. Operation present in your class. Now, the overlook of your private, public as well as the protected data member. In the private data member, only the lifetime of your private data member is only within the class. Only within the class you can able to access the private data member. And coming to the second access specifier is called as a public member. In this public member, if you specify your data member under public or if you are declaring your data member under public, then this particular data member can be used anywhere in your class. That is, even outside of the class also, we can able to access this public data member. And coming to the protected data member. So the protected data member, the lifetime of the protected data member can be within the class and also the functions which are inherited or class which are inherited with this class, with this base class, can also able to use the protected data member. I hope you will understand the protected data member while we are discussing the inheritance concept. So now in this program, we are going to use only the private access specifier as well as public access specifier. Now, in your hand right now, you have a class. Yes, the class structure is there. The meaning is you have a class. Inside the class, you have some amount of data member as well as the member function. So now, coming into the declaration of object. Now, we want to use all these data member as well as member function for your task, for your application, so that for this we need to have an object. Yes or no? So for this we have to declare the object. So without the object we cannot able to access the data, as well as we cannot able to access the member function also. For this we have to declare the object. So the object is nothing but the instance of the class. We used to call it as object. Initially, whenever creating the class, there is no memory has been allocated. So whenever the object is created, automatically the some amount of memory is allocated for your class. So that is what the object is very important. Using the object only, we can able to collect all the details. We can able to access the details of a class that is called as a member data as well as membership functions. Now, how to create the object, and with the support of object, how you can able to access it, that we will discuss right now. So for creating the object, we have a syntax or we have a general format. For creating the object, you specify the class name. That means the class name is already created. So for this class, you have to specify the class name and specify your object name. So the object name is a user-defined object name. Okay. Now say for example, already we created the person class, right? So the class name is the person and your object name is a user-defined object name. Any name want, you can keep it. Say for example, here we are using an object name is called as P1. Now this is one way of creating object. The other way of creating object is also, that is the same class. For the same class, you can create many number of objects. As conceptually, we already know the class is a collection of similar objects. Is or no? So for that reason, we are creating the person class. We are creating the object for the person class. Many number of objects for the person class. So this is the second method of creating the object for a given class person. And similar way, one more method is there for creating the object. At the end of the class, how to recognize the class is closed? At the end of the body of the class, the closing brace, you have to specify the semicolon. So before keeping the semicolon, you can able to create the object. Here for the person class, we are representing three objects X, Y, Z. These are the three objects which belongs to the person class. So these are the three different ways you can able to create the object for the person class. So now remember that. Now we gone through how to create a class and how to create an object. So how to create a class? You can create the class structure. Inside the class structure, you can have a data as well as you can have a function. Now, for accessing this data as well as function, we need an object. That is what we created an object. And now once the object is created, what is the next thing is, with the support of this object, we want to access all the members of my class. Who are the members of my class? My data is member and my member function is also a member. So with the support of your object, we should access the data as well as function present in my class. So that in C++, we need one of the very important operator is called as a member access specifier. In the name itself, we can easily define that the member access specifier is also called as a dot operator. So using the dot operator, you can, with the help of object, we can able to access the data as well as function present in your class. Say for example, here one example is given. This is for creating your object. Say for example, person is the class. So the class name is the person and your object name is the P1. So using this object, we can call the function. So here this getData is a function present in your class, and name, this is also attribute present in your class. So using this dot P1 dot getData, the meaning is using this P1 object, we can able to access the getData function. And similar way, using this P1 object, we can able to access the name data member. So using the dot operator is also called as a member access specifier to access the members of the class. That is the meaning of this member access specifier. Now already we know the access specifier has a limit. So already we had an overlook of your access specifier. There are 3 different access specifiers are there. One is called as a private, public and protected. So these 3 are the access specifier. With the support of this access specifier only, we implemented the data hiding or the data security in object-oriented programming language. So this is a very important concept where you can apply the private access specifier and where you can apply this public and protected access specifier. Now we see this small segment of a program. It is not a whole program. You can see this small segment of the program. So you can start with the class. So already we know that how to create the class space class name. Class is a keyword and person is the class name. It is a user defined name. Any name want you can specify. So here we can call the person is the class. Now inside the class, so this is your whole body. The class body will be start while you are using the opening brace. Now inside this class, we do have a data member as well as member function. What is data member? All your attribute or all your data is called as a data member. And all your function is called as a member function. Now, inside the access specifier, we specify the access specifier called as a private. So inside the private, we had one data member is called as a age and one function is called as a get age. So the return type of this function get age is also an integer. Like that, some simple example is given. One is one data member and one function is given. And we can have many number of data members as well as many number of member functions also. At the end of the class, you can close the class structure. So how you recognize the closing the class structure? It can be entered with a semicolon. Now the class is closed. So now you know the lifetime of the private data member. The private data member can be accessed only within the class. So once the class is closed here, after the class, after out of the class, you cannot able to access these 2 data members, age as well as get age. But in this program segment, what happening here? So here we are creating an object. So the person class, we are creating one object P1. Now using this object P1, that is P1 dot age, we are planning to access this data member using this object P1 dot age, and that we are storing into the another variable is called as A. That meaning is it is an illegal access. Why it is illegal access? Because this particular data is present in a private member section. So the private access specifier in the sense we cannot able to access this data member as well as member function outside of the class. So it's totally illegal access. You cannot able to access the data member age. And similar way, using this object, we are planning to access p1 dot get age. That is object name dot the function name get age. So this also illegal access because this member function is also present in your private data member. So these 2 accesses cannot possible because your access specifier is given as a private. So by seeing this, you confirm that the lifetime of your private data member is only within the class. That is where the class is closed, only within the class member functions can able to access your private data member, not others. Now coming to the protected data members. In this protected data member, we will have a detailed discussions while we are going for the inheritance concept. Then only you can understand. So in this protected data member, here in this program segment, this is same how the private data members will act, the same concept, the protected data member also will follow. Under the protected access specifier, we have the data member data, attribute is called as age and function is called as a get age, right? So here, now we are closing the class entered with the semicolon. So when you specify the braces along with the semicolon, meaning is your class is closed. So once your class is closed, the lifetime of your protected data member, is only within the class. Only within the class members can able to access the protected data member and also inherited class. But the inherited class, we will see later this concept. So now here, the same way, while you're trying to access this age data member as well as get age function with the support of this object P1, it is also an illegal access because this data age as well as get age function is present in your protected data member. So you cannot able to access this protected data member outside your class because your class is closed here. So outside your class, you cannot able to access this data member. Now coming to the public data members. So in the public data members is a very, very simple one. When you see the access specifier public, and now here also the same for your better understandability, we are continuing the same example here. Under the public access specifier, we have a age as well as get age data member. Now it is under the public data members. In the name itself, we can define. Public means what? Anybody can access. Even outside the class also can able to access this public data members. Now here, similar way, by using the object P1, we are planning to access the data member P1.age. And similar way, P1 dot, you are accessing this get age function. So both these functions are a legal function. It is this particular object has a privilege to access all these because all these are comes under your public data member. So the lifetime of the public data member is anywhere you can able to access this public data member as well as member function even outside of the class also. Hope you understood the major differences between the access specifier, private, protected, and public. I'll summarize that. Private is nothing but only within the class, only inside the class we can able to access the data as well as function. That is called as a private. And protected access specifier is nothing but one within the class, only within the class you can able to access the protected data member and also the inherited class and as well as the friend class. These are the major concepts in the object-oriented programming language. The upcoming sessions we will see to that. Inheritance as well as friend classes can able to access your protected data member. But when you see the public data members, the lifetime is anywhere. So even outside of the class also you can access the public data member. Now one simple segment of code is given for an example. Say for example, the description is given here. The class is called as a person. Here under the class, we have the two different objects called as a boy and girl. And now every object will have its own attribute and its operation. That are the characteristics as well as operation. These are the major components of your object. So here the boy as well as girl object has its own name as well as age. These are comes under the attribute, and operations are they can speak, listen, walk. These are called as a functions or operation. And same way, see for example, we have an object is called as a car or bus. And when you combine this object together under one class, the class name we can call it as a vehicle. Now this car also having some attribute as well as some operation. When you transfer this into the class concept, class structure, what do you say for this person description, how we are transforming into the class structure? See for example, we are specifying class is a keyword and person is a class name. Class name is a person. And under that, we have to specify the data member as well as member function. So the data members of this person classes, the name of the person, age of the person, these are the data members of your person class. And also we have the member function is called as a getData, walk, show. These are the functions of your person class. Now, coming into the program design. So hope you understood the concept of object as well as class and how to create a class and how to create the object. And with the support of this object, how you can able to access the data as well as member functions of your class by using the access specifier. And the access specifier, what are the difference between your private, public and protected data member? All these things, hope you understood. Now we are coming to the one simple program which will have the class concept, class and object concept. So when you develop a C++ program, all the concepts by seeing the name itself, C++, the meaning is what? All the features we can use, whatever you are using in the C program, that also you can use it for the C++. Like whatever the decision statements, looping statement, control statements. Okay, so all functions, all features, we can use it, whatever you have in the C, you can use it in the C++. The plus in the sense what? Some additional features also. That is what? We are having some object-oriented programming concept, the object, class, polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance, friend function, constructor, destructor, like we have some additional features also we are going to use in the C++. Right? So when you see the programming design of a simple class example, look into that. Here we are in the C++, we are include the header file. So in the C language, please compare and study, then only you can understand the difference between the C program and C++ program. In the C program, what we have to do, when the preprocessor directive, we have to say that as include stdio.h. That is a header file for including all your standard input-output statements. Right? So for including all your standard input-output statements in C program, we have to use the stdio.h header file. But in the C++ program, we have to use the IO string, input-output string header file you have to include for access all your input-output statements. And also you must include the conio.h header file also for accessing your getch as well as clear screen functions that is included with the support of this library conio.h. Now, the structure of C program, it is given here. So initially, after your header file, you immediately start your class. Already we are familiar with the creating the class. That meaning is initially you start the person class. We want to create the person class. And in this, how to specify the class? Class space class name. Okay. Recollect the syntax of creating the class. Then you can able to get this. So specify the class. Class is a keyword and specify the class name. Class name is a user-defined name. Any name want you can give it. Here the person class we are going to create it. So under the class, your class body is started. Once the body is started, you can start with the opening braces. Now, inside the person class, we have a data member. For simple understanding, I given only two data member. Under what member, what access specifier we given here? It is a public access specifier is given. That means, what is the meaning of public access specifier? Anywhere you can use this data member, even outside the class also. So, under the public access specifier, we declare two variable or two attribute. Both are same. So, these two variables, one is called as a string variable and another one is called as an integer variable. Now, we are closing the class. What is the difference between the function close and the class close? The function close doesn't end with a semicolon, but the class close must be ended with a semicolon. In that way, you can easily identify, easily differentiate which is the function close and which is the class close. Now you are closing the class with a semicolon. Now you have to come into the main program. So your executions will be start from the main program. So inside the main program, we are creating an object. What is the meaning of this statement? This statement is for creating the object. Okay, so how to create the object? recollect the syntax. What is the syntax for creating the object? Class name space object name. What is the class name here? Person is the class name. So class name space object name. Object name is any name, any user defined name you can give. So here the object name I given is obj. Okay, so for example, I given obj. So here now the object is created for your class person. Now what is the special purpose of this object? With the support of this object, we can easily access the members of your class. How many members are present in your class? Name is one of the member, number is one of the member. These are the public members of the person class. Now what will happen? Now we are using some cout statement, some user defined, some user convenience statement. We are writing with the use of cout statement. Now say for example, enter the name. So this is some user convenience statement. In the C program, generally we used to write printf statement, but here we are using the cout statement. So that difference we already seen that. So by using the cout statement, we can represent some user defined statement, enter the name. So now this name, how to access this name? Name is a data member of the person class. So now using this object, what is our object name? Obj. So using this object name as well as what is the meaning of this dot operator? This dot operator is also called as a member access specifier, or we can call it as a dot operator. The use of this member access specifier, right? With the support of this member access specifier only, the object can able to access the members of your class. So using this object dot name dot represent member access specifier, object dot name. So we can able to access this data of your person class. And similar way, I want to access the member of the person class, that is called as a number. So using this object name dot number, we can access the name as well as number. So like that, we can got the two input and we are producing the output also. So when you specify the output, object dot name, say for example, if you are giving the input statement, we are giving the object dot name, if we are giving shan, so that output will be displayed here. Object dot name in the sense the shan will be displayed, and similar way object dot number, say for example during the input time we given 101, that is the number of the particular person. So that number will be displayed here by using the cout statement. And now close the program. Here the return type of this function be given as an integer, so it should return some value. Here after performing any process, it doesn't return anything, so you have to specify return 0 and finally conclude with getch. And now close the main program also. Now I'll give you one more better example. See here, for example, in this we included all the header file. Now start the class, and under the class we have the only one. In the public section we have only one data member, that is called as a name, and also one more member function is called as a print name. So one data is given, one function is given. So the data is represented as a string, and function. So when you start the function, already you know the function concepts very well in the procedure-oriented programming language, in the C programming language. So how to represent the function? Return type, function name. Return type and function name. Here the return type is called as a void, and the function name is called as a print name. This is a user-defined name. Now inside the function, we can we can print the name of the particular person. Okay. Now you are closing your function, and also we are closing your class. I already told that the difference between the function close and the class close. The difference between the function close and the class close. The function close is nothing but here we are closing the function, but once the function is closed, and we must close the class also. So the class close must be entered with a semicolon. Hope you understood. I'll explain again. Here we are created one class. So the class name is called as a person. And inside the class, already we know that we can able to keep some data, as well as we can able to keep some member function. Here the data member or string name. So that's data member is you declared under the public section. And also member function is also under the public section only. So the member function, only one function is present in the class, that is called as a print name. So print name in the sense what? The name I want to print it by using the cout statement. Okay. Now you close the class, close the function as well as close the class also. Now coming into the main program. So in this main program, you first of all, if you want to access the class member, this data member as well as member function in the sense, we have to create an object. Yes or no? So inside the main program, you first create an object. So how will you create an object? Class name space object name. Yes or no? So the class name is called as a person and object name is any name you can give it. So this is a syntax and formats, everything we already learned. So the person is the class and you have to specify the object name. So using this object, we are planning to access the data of your class. What are the data of your class? Name is one of the data and print name is one of the function. So these data as well as function you want to access with the help of this object and as well as the access specifier. So using this object one dot, using dot operator, I can access the name. So object one dot name, in the sense you can give some string because you declare this name as a string. So you can specify the object one dot name is called as a Abhi or something else, right? And similar way, you can able to access the function name. What is the function? It's a print name is a function. So using this object, same object one, you can able to access the function is called as a print name. So object one dot print name, right? If you call the function, so this is called as a calling your function. Yes or no? So through this object, we can able to call the function. So and also you have to, that means after this end, it doesn't return anything. So you have to specify the return 0. So actually how the execution begins. Okay, so your execution begins from the main program only. So initially what will happen? Your object is created for your person class. So already the class specifications will be there. So your person class object is created. Now you are calling the accessing the data of your class. So object one dot name. So the name is your data of your class. So you access your data and also you want to access the member function of your class by using this object. So using this object, you access the member function is called as a print name. Now the control get back to the print name, and now the executions will do the execution here. That means this is called as a function call, object one dot print name. That is the support of this object. You call the function is called as a print name, or you access the function is called as a print name. Now what is the function body? In the function body, just we are printing the name of the particular student. That's the name of the particular person. Now you again other control get back to here and it will end up the program. So the output will be whatever the name is given. The Abhi is your input. Now in the cout statement, the given name is the respective name will be printed here. That could be your output. Now coming to the member functions in the class. I already told that the member functions in the class, like we can have the data member as well as the member functions also. Yes or no? So there are two ways of you can able to define the member functions in your class. One is all the member functions you can able to define inside the class. Otherwise, some member functions you can able to define outside the class also. There are two ways that is called as a inside class definition as well as outside class definition. In this, what will happen here? If you are defining your function outside the class, then we have to use the scope resolution operator. Okay, so with the support of this scope resolution operator only, we can able to define the function outside the class. We are following some syntax for defining the function outside the class. The specific format is you have to specify the return type and class name, scope resolution operator. So the scope resolution operator and the function name. If you have an argument, you can pass the argument. So this is an optional one. And start your function body by using the braces, opening braces. Now the function body, the whatever the statements, here the executable statements will be present in the function body, and close the function, right? So here in the scope resolution operator will tells you that this particular function, it tells you the compiler, this particular function belongs to what class? Yes or no? Please remember this syntax for defining the function outside the class. Okay, so in order to specify the return type, as usual, every functions will have the return type. So return type and the class name and scope resolution operator specify the function name. Which function you are defining outside the class, that function you have to specify, and along with the argument. Now start the function body and end up your function also. Now this can be explained with the program example. See, you have to include the necessary library. Okay, so the necessary library we have included iostream.h as well as conio.h. Now we have created the class. Okay, so the class is nothing but item. Item is one of the class we are going to create. Under the item class, you see here, we doesn't specify any access specifier. Yes or no? So your class is started. Once the class is started, you specify the opening brace, and inside the class, you have a data member as well as the member function. So in this data member, we doesn't specify any access specifier, either it is a private or public or protected. If you doesn't specify any private, protected or public, in the sense, the default it is private only. Understood? So inside the class, we have the two data member. One is called as the ID as well as the cast. So these two data members are by default, it comes under the private access specifier. Now coming into the public data member. So under the public section, we have the two member function. One is called as a getData and putData. It doesn't return any value. So the return type of this function is called as a void. So void getData as well as void putData be given. So these two are called as a function declaration. Hope you already know the concept of the function in C programming language. So a function declaration must be entered with a semicolon. Now your class, you are closing the class. So close the class with the semicolon. Now here we are going to define the function outside the class. Say for example, your first function. What is the first function? Here the getData as well as the putData. These two are the functions which is present in your class item, right? So every function we are going to define outside the class. So how will you define outside the class? Recollect the previous syntax, that is return type, class name, scope resolution operator, function name, and you specify the argument, it is optional, and you want to specify the function body. Same way, look here, return type. What is the return type? Void is the return type, and class name is the item, and scope resolution operator and function name. So the function name is nothing but getData is a function name. Yes or no? So now inside the getData, as usual, normal functional statements, you can write it. Here one simple simple statements we written it. That is by using the same statement, we are taking the input of ID as well as cast. Okay. And now we are planning to define. Now once the function is over, you close the function block. Now again, you have to define the second function. It's called as a putData. PutData, that is the second function. We are going to define it. So specify return type, the class name, scope resolution operator, and function name. Now start the putData function. Inside the putData, here we are going to display the item which is already received, ID as well as the cast we already received. So this details we are going to display in this cout statement. Now close the putData function also. You may raise the question, that is how we can able to access this ID as well as the cast. Yes or no? ID as well as the cast, how we can access it? Yes or no? So because all these are comes under getData as well as the put data, these two member function are comes under your public member function. So the public member function can access the data member anywhere that is outside the class also. That is what we can able to access the ID as well as the cast in the outside the class also, right? So now once the put data function is over, then you can close the function block. Now you start the main program. So inside the main program, first of all, inside the main program, you first of all create an object of your class. So the class name is called as the item. Class name is called as an item. So the item and the respective object is generated. So using this object, you can call the function getData. Okay, so what will happen? The function control will get into the getData and it will execute. Okay, so the execute will take the input of ID as well as cast. And when you call the next function is called as a put data. When you call the next function is called as a put data, the control gets into the function block and display the ID as well as cast. So now, please students, this is a time to give a feedback. Later, we will continue the topic. So please students can give the feedback. Accordingly, we will continue the class. Yes, so now the inside the class. So the previous example, we discussed how to define these two functions, get data as well as put data function outside the class. That is by using the scope resolution operator, we define both the functions outside the class. And inside the main program, with the support of this object, we call these two functions get data as well as put data and we implement it. Now, inside the class, how to define the function. So that is very simple. Some general program how we done. In this, here we have to include the header files, and also you have to start the class structure. See, inside the class item, we have the two data member. These two are the private data member. And inside the public data member, we have the two member function. One is called as a get data and put data. But in the previous example, both get data and put data, we defined outside the class. Okay. So if we are defining outside the class, we should declare these two functions inside the class. That is very important. But here, since we are going to define directly, we no need of declaration. Directly, we can start define your function get data. So in this, we can start the get data function. Inside the get data, the same function, some same functions we are doing it. That is by some normal user defined statement, we are writing it into the item ID as well as cost. It is a user defined statement. As you wish, you can write it. Now using the CN statement, we can collect the ID as well as cost. And now in the put data, we are going to display the result of ID and cost. Now you are closing your function and also you are closing the class. So the difference between the function close as well as the class closes, the class close must be entered with semicolon, right? Now look at this, both the function get data as well as the put data, we defined inside the class. So this is called as a defining the function inside the class. Now again, in this main program, you create an object for the class. So the class name, space object name, and using this object name as well as a dot operator, remember as a specifier. So x dot get data, you can execute this get data, as well as x dot put data, you can execute this put data function after the execution. Okay, so after this execution, you can get the output of your get data as well as the put data. So there are two ways you can implement the functions, either inside the class or outside the class. So the inside the class is very simple, but outside the class, when you define, you have to use a scope resolution operator. Now coming to the nesting of member function. So the nesting of member function is called as inside one member function, we can call other member function is called as a nesting of member function. It's a very simple one. The same thing you might already done in the C program also. Say for example, we are including the header file and we have started the class. Inside the class, we have the two data member and both are private data members. See here, we doesn't give any access specifier, but by default, it will take it as num1 and num2 are the private data member. Now under the public data member, here we have how many functions we have? Read is one function, max is one function, and show max is the third function. Like the three functions are here. Three functions are there in your class, right? Two data member and three functions are there. So what kind of implementation it is? This is function inside the class, because all the function definitions we are keeping inside the class. So you are defining the function inside the class, right? So now in the first function, this particular function comes under public. So this function comes under the public. So using the first, you are starting the function read. Under the read function, using the input statement, we are reading the values of num1 and num2. Once the function is completed, you can close the function block. Now you start the second function. So the second function is called as a max function. Here, we are going to find out the maximum between these two numbers, which is the maximum one that we are going to return it back, right? So if you are going to find the maximum between number 1 and number 2, in case if it is true, in the sense the number 1 is returned back, otherwise number 2 will be returned. As usual, normal procedure. Okay, and finally complete with the third function. Third function is called as a show max. Here it is. So inside this function here, what is our concept? Your aim is inside one function, we are going to call the other function. That is the concept of nesting of membership function. Yes or no? So inside this show max function, we are going to call the other function. What is the function called? Generally, how will you call the function? Generally, how will you call the particular person? By his name, you have to call. The same way, if you want to call the function by the name of the function, you have to call it. What is the name of the function? The name of the function is called as the max. So in the cout statement, we use the function call statement, that is max of open and close. So what will happen? This will come into the function block and it execute this function statements. Again, it will return back into the original statement where it is called. So return back into the original statement where it is called. So it is written back into this show max. Since it is written in the cout statement, so the output is printed here. Now, so as usual in the main program, you are create the class create an object for this particular class, and by using this object, first you have to read the first function. You have to call the first function by using this object. So g1.read, in the sense, automatically the control will gets back into the read method and it will execute the read method. Again, it will call the g1.showMax, in the sense, again control get back into the showMax function and it will execute. And inside the showMax function, we have the nested member function. Function call is there. Nested member function is there, so that will be executed. Okay, so for today, for this today class, okay, so summarizing this today class, we have a concept of class and object and how to define the object, and with the support of this object, how we can access the data member as well as the member function of the class, and how to define the member function inside the class as well as the outside the class. And based on that, a nesting of member function. Based on that, I given some of the problem statement. Okay, so don't think that you does not have a C++ software. You can use the online compiler also. So here the link is given. The online C++ compiler, you can use it. Okay, so 3 problem statements. First given, you have to display this what's that information about the 4 students. I already told you can have all the features of the C program. So you can use the for loop statement, and you can have four student detail, and you have to say, for example, the student name, age, roll number, like that. You have to take some data member and some member function. Like, for example, get data as well as display. So display some student information system. So the 4 to 5 student detail informations you have to display.